What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. The road to predict all 136 FBS level college football teams this summer is now taking us to Boulder, Colorado, where the Colorado Buffaloes are next on tap out of the Big 12 Conference. A very exciting campaign last season. Will Colorado build upon it, or will they fall back down after all the talent they lost? My name is Nate Pope, otherwise known as Tailgate Nate, and before we dive on into Colorado, I just want to say thank you so much for clicking on this video and helping to support the channel. If you'd like to support it even further, please do what it says right below me, right down there. Hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, you might as well ring the bell. Turning on notifications will ensure you don't miss an upload during prediction season. You especially don't want to miss your favorite team. I am a sports media graduate delving into the professional world of the industry. Just started my new job not too long ago. If you want to see all the cool stuff I get to do while still being up to date what goes on this very YouTube channel, please give me a follow. It's at TailgateNate29 on Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call the platform, and Instagram. You can even email me. It's tailgatenate29@gmail.com. I want to thank you all so much for supporting and interacting with me and the channel, however you may be doing so. And with all that said and done and out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. Let's give them their theme music right now. It's time for Colorado football predictions in 2025. Hey, a 9-3 campaign for the Buffaloes last season, a very, very successful one. However, this now is a team that has got to replace a lot of the talent that led them to such high heights a season ago. How do we do preview predictions here on the channel? Well, we are first going to go through a roster overview, which the offense is going to be over here to the left. The defense is going to be over here to the right, and at the end of the video, we're going to go through the Colorado football schedule. I'll give it a game-by-game preview and prediction. This video overall will tell you what I think about the Buffaloes here in 2025. Before we go ahead and move on forward, returning production numbers are according to ESPN, and they do factor in transfer portal additions up to a certain percentage. Numbers right below that are recruiting and transfer portal class ranks, again, for the class of 2025. They are both according to 24/7 Sports. After a quick water break, haven't said this in a while, make sure you all stay hydrated, and let's get on over to the offense with Pat Shurmur as your offensive coordinator. The leader of this group offensively, Shedeur Sanders, is now gone. 4,134 yards, 37 touchdowns to 10 interceptions last season. The interceptions were not a problem for him in 2023. They were last season. However, despite everything else, Shedeur Sanders was an absolutely wonderful quarterback. Of course, the son of Deion, and Shedeur is now with the NFL's Cleveland Browns. Very well could be that franchise quarterback in time that can hopefully finally fix things around with my favorite NFL team in Cleveland. However, you still do have two pretty solid options in this quarterback room. And look, I don't think they're going to be Shedeur. They're not going to be Shedeur. I don't think they're going to put up everything that Shedeur can do. However, I do think they are two very good options to fill in for the quarterback room. Kaidon Salter is a transfer coming over here from Liberty, where last year he threw for 1,886 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. It was not his best season. 2023 was 61% completion, 2,876 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions, and on the ground for the Flames that year, 1,089 yards and 12 touchdowns. Last season, 587 yards and 7 touchdowns. Just a little bit of a dip for Kaidon Salter last season. He can take that back up. He can take that back up a notch here into 2025 into full, if not even greater form than what we saw out of him with the Flames in 2023 as the Group of 5 representative in the New Year's 6 bowl games. I mean, look, man, Kaidon Salter, very, very good player. He's going to have to compete with a very exciting freshman in Julian Lewis. Julian Lewis, the 126th ranked player overall in the class of 2025, 10th ranked quarterback in the class, according to 24/7 Sports. I do think it's going to be Kaidon Salter that probably, for the most part, is that primary starter. Although, guys, it's really not going to surprise me at all to see Julian Lewis get some substantial playing time. It also would not surprise me if Deion Sanders looks at him and says, watch what Kaidon Salter does. We want you to redshirt this season. Nothing would surprise me. However, I do think it's a real possibility that both could see playing time. At the end of the day, though, I do think Kaidon Salter will be that primary starter for you when the college football season does kick off. Isaiah Augustave, your leading rusher from last season, is off over to SC. And and I believe SC does stand for South Carolina, and it does. But again, this is a run game that just did not get going and hasn't gotten going at all. I think if Colorado wants to take that next step, you got to find a guy and some weapons to be able to replace what you lost in the passing game. Caden Salter could very well be that. We'll talk about some pass catching options in a minute. But as far as the running back room goes, you just got to get it going. It starts with getting some more talent in there, and it starts with building up front as well, which again, we will talk about that in just a minute. But Augustave, 384 yards, 4 touchdowns on just 4.5 yards per carry last season. So you are going to be getting former Ohio State Buckeye Dallin Hayden. That's going to be coming back. DeKalen Taylor is a transfer coming over from Incarnate Word, who could be a really, really big piece to this running back room. Micah Welch is also going to be coming in. But again, this is a run game that has got to get better. We'll come back to that. Put a pin in it. We'll come back to that idea. Your top 4 wideouts move through this program and are off to bigger and better things. Of course, the most notable one, Heisman Trophy winner and two-way player last season. We'll mention his name on the defensive side there as well. It is, of course, Travis Hunter. 1,258 yards and 15 touchdowns from last season. You're also going to be losing LaJohntay Wester, 937 yards and 10 touchdowns. How about Will Shepard? Yep, he's gone as well. Same thing with Jimmy Horn. So you don't return a wide receiver that has over 300 yards receiving, at least didn't last season. However, you do return 2 guys with the same last name. Don't believe there's any relation between the 2 of them. That could be really big pieces for you this season. Omarion Miller is coming back, as well as Draylon Miller. Both of those 2 guys, I think, were your 5th and 6th. Yes, they were 5th and 6th leading receivers on this team last season. Dallin Hayden was 7th, so there is some good value there with Dallin Hayden. And again, I see it as a really, really high upside piece. But it is a room that's going to mainly be built through the transfer portal. Both Millers, Omarion, and Draylon are going to see some substantial playing time, but there is a lot of talent entering through the transfer portal. Sincere Brown, formerly of South Florida, is now coming in from Campbell. Hakeem Williams is coming into this program. Joseph Williams, Jack Hestera was a really good player over at Utah State. Actually was formerly a Colorado Buffalo before Deion Sanders came in there as well, I do believe. So you do still have some pretty good talent in this wide receiver room to pair with a brand new quarterback. Savell Smalls returns to your tight end room, and Zach Atkins is going to be entering through the transfer portal. Zach Atkins is from Northwest Missouri State. That's a really high-profile athletic department out of the D2 ranks. Pretty solid football team where he had a really darn good season. So you do still have some good pass catching options. But remember that sticky note, that little pin I told you to put in the run game? Let's take a look at that note that you took right now. The offensive line, by far and away the biggest concern on the offense, and might be the biggest concern on the entire football team. Plenty of portal pieces are entering for what it seems like the 3rd straight year to try to fix the issue. Your one returner that's a projected starter, according to ourlads.com, is a true sophomore in Jordan Seaton. But again, he could not start. He potentially could not start. There are, I think, 6 or 7, maybe even more offensive line transfers that are going to come in here. A good bulk of them are probably going to end up starting on the offensive front. It's another entirely rebuilt unit. Guys, it has got to find some rhythm and momentum. It's got to be able to protect Caden Salter or Julian Lewis. It's got to be able to open up this run game. And now that you are without 2 extremely talented pieces in Shedeur and Travis Hunter, guys, this is the year where the offensive line has to take that massive leap. Otherwise, Colorado could fall way below expectations. But that's enough rambling about the offense. We'll do it later. Let's move on over to the defense and Robert Livingston. It improved tenfold last season. The defense, it got so much better, but a lot of big producers are going to be gone off of the defensive side. However, there are a lot more returners than usual. Usually this has been a defense over the past 2 years under the Coach Prime era that's been heavily built through the portal. There's still a lot of transfer pieces, but you do have a lot of returners as well. We do still have to talk about the losses that they do see. The defensive front sees its best sees its best pass rusher. I'm reading a lot line ahead. And BJ Green leave off of the defensive front, off the edge. 7.5 sacks led the team for him last season. And the top two tackling linebackers do leave this unit as well. Nikhai Hill-Green is, I think, now over with the Alabama Crimson Tide. And you're also going to be losing Levanta Bentley, gone off of this unit as well. So those are two guys, or two and even three really, really big pieces that are going to be leaving this team out of the defensive front and linebacking unit. Well, you do still get some top transfers coming in to the defensive front. You still do have some solid guys like Samuel Okunlola that's going to be coming back. Amari McNeil is also coming back to this team. Those are some really, really good pieces. Okunlola is kind of like that edge rusher player, can play linebacker, can play defensive line, but Jaheim Otis is going to be coming in here through the transfer portal. He's over from Alabama, had 26 tackles and half a sack in 2023. He's going to play a big part to the defensive front for Colorado this season. You also do have Arden Walker that's going to very much so help that case. Coming off the edge, another one of those players you can fit in the linebacker or the defensive line room. Middle linebackers, guys that are true linebackers, going to be playing the Mike and Will positions for you. It's built through the transfer portal. Martavius French is going to be coming in from UTSA, where he had an 80 tackle season with 17 tackles for loss. Reginald Hughes is going to be coming over here from Jacksonville State, where he had an 82 tackle season, 4.5 sacks to pair with almost 10 tackles for loss. Sean Myers is going to be coming over from North Alabama, formerly of Hawking College, in the community/JUCO ranks. Jeremiah Brown is a returner that should see improved playing time this season. So you do get some really good proven talent in through the linebacking unit. But your overall top tackler, Cameron Silman Craig, he has gone pro out of the secondary, was a safety last season, 82 tackles, 2 sacks for him last season. He is now over with the NFL's Jacksonville Jaguars. You still do have many good returns. Oh, also Shiloh Sanders. You have to mention the other Sanders brothers as well. The other Sanders brother, I should say. He is with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So you do lose some really good piece out of this defensive secondary, specifically in the safety realm. Many good returners do come back. You are getting RJ Johnson. DJ McKinney is a huge return. Same thing with Preston Hodge, as well as, again, your fair share of transfers. Tawfiq Bayard is coming in, 54 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, and a pick last season over with the South Florida Bulls. Plenty of other transfers to provide some much-needed depth to this secondary. Your kicker and Alejandro Mata is going to return, while a brand new punter is going to step in, according to ourlads.com. It's a transfer in Damon Greaves, who's coming over from Kansas. Very well could be another name, but we got to show love to the special teams units because kickers are people too. All right. Talking about this Colorado team as a whole, you got to fill in just a ton of spots. And by the way, didn't even mention on the defensive side of things how foolish of me I should have. Yeah, you're also losing probably not only one of the best wide receivers in the country, but one of the best secondary members in the country in Travis Hunter as well, gone out of that secondary. That, of course, goes without saying, the Heisman Trophy winner from last season. So you're going to need a lot of guys to step in and provide some really big minutes and some really big roles for you this season. I think Colorado's got the talent to do it, but there's a ton of concern, especially up front with the offensive line. You still need a lot of pieces to come in, and when you build teams through the portal like this, a lot has got to go right, and a lot has to click. How does the Colorado schedule look? All right, here you go. Here's a good look at the Colorado 2025 football schedule right over here to my left. But before we get started with this, need to put your attention right down below. These odds are courtesy of FanDuel, and they just give some good context to how good the odds makers think Colorado is going to be this season. Plus 3,000 odds to win the conference is, I think, right around the middle, if not slightly lower tier in the Big 12 conference. But as we know, it is always a wide open race in the Big 12. So put as much stock as you want into that. And yeah, a lot has got to go right. A lot of pieces got to fit into place, and you lost a lot of talent. It's going to take a monstrous effort for Colorado to go win the national championship. Biggest odds you can get on FanDuel at plus 100,000. Let's start by diving on into the Colorado football schedule. Like I said, a lot of pieces are going to be coming in, and there are some good things to see out of this Colorado team. it might not lead to that many wins. You do have to play a lot of the top echelon teams in the Big 12 this season, a lot of the top odds teams, and you do have an out-of-conference game to kick off your season on Friday, August 29th against Georgia Tech that I just don't think you're going to win, and it's because of the way that Georgia Tech has boosted up front through their transfer portal, and the Yellow Jackets as a whole, I think are going to be a really, really physical bunch, which have those types of teams have given Colorado the problems in the past. And Georgia Tech got Haynes King back. Jamal Haynes is back. Really good wide receiver unit, a defense that I think is going to be absolutely outstanding for the Yellow Jackets this season. And again, Colorado's going to be trying to fill in a lot of pieces. Colorado is absolutely a team that I feel like, again, Colorado going to be one of the bigger hit or miss teams. And even though they're playing at home, I just don't see Colorado getting past the physicality of Georgia Tech, especially with how much of an issue that offensive line still is. And I think while it can get better, I don't think it's going to improve substantially enough to be able to beat the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets and some of the things they can throw at you from a defensive perspective. On top of that, the offense is really good, and I don't know if the defense has got everything it needs to be able to keep up with it, be able to contain everything the Yellow Jackets can throw at you. However, there is some good news. Colorado, you will get your first win of the season against a newly minted FBS team in the Delaware Blue Hens. They have come over to join Conference USA. Delaware, out of the two that have joined this year, Delaware and Missouri State, I think Delaware is going to be the more competitive one, an FCS powerhouse during their time over with the Colonial Athletic Association. Might take them some time to adjust to the FBS level. But I think Delaware can be pretty competitive. They won't be here in this one, though. Colorado should win that game. Okay, we're going to start getting to the Buffalo fans real early in this one because Houston is a team that I think can make a jump this season. And while I think it's really difficult to determine if they're going to make a bowl game or not, this entire team is built through the transfer portal. They got Connor Wiegman coming in at quarterback. The offensive line is basically brand new, but they do have a ton of really nice offensive weapons. Dean Connors is going to come into play running back for you after being a really good threat over with the Rice Owls. So he is staying in state over, I think Rice is even in Houston. I think Rice might very well be in the same city. So he's staying in city, just going up to the Power 4 level. You do have a lot of really good defensive transfers coming in, as well as some really experienced returning pieces. And Houston is a team that I think is going to be very well coached. Willie Fritz is a really, really solid coach. You're looking for a team to make a big jump in the Big 12 conference compared to where they were last year. I think Houston is your bet. And I think Houston wins this game. Connor Wiegman, I think, is going to have some moments here this season where, yeah, he couldn't put it all together at Texas A&M. Sure. I do think he can still be a pretty solid player. I think he's got a lot of weapons surrounding you. And Houston's a team that, again, while I think it's going to be tricky for him to get to a bowl game this year, I think they take a nice, substantial jump, even if their record at the end of the year is not going to say it. I got Houston beating Colorado in the Buffalo's first road game of the season. However, I do think they are going to beat Wyoming. Wyoming is still, I think, trying to find their identity under their new head coach after Craig Bohl left, and Colorado should be able to win that game. BYU. This one had been a win for me. So what I do is I go through, and there's a reason that I'm explaining what I'm about to explain here. What I do is I go through, I take the full conference schedule for every single conference, and I go and predict it out, make the changes as necessary, and feel like I have a solid, like, okay, I'm happy with this record-wise for each team. BYU needed an extra loss, so I put it up here for the Colorado Buffaloes. I think especially now, this one becomes a lot easier for Colorado when you consider that as of recording this video, breaking news came out. It'll be a couple days, and you, in fact, probably will already have seen a video on my channel talking about this matter. The BYU is now going to be without quarterback Jake Retzlaff because of a lot of the allegations that had been taking place. He was facing, I believe it was a 7 or 8 game suspension, and he decided to up and transfer. I don't know if he can go anywhere, and even if he does, I don't know if he can play football. We'll have to wait and see on that matter, but BYU is going to be without Jake Retzlaff this year. Now, they still do have a lot of really good weapons in the surrounding vicinity, but now, again, you're already through spring, and now you have to slot in a brand new quarterback. Guys, that's going to be really hard for BYU to go and do. Yeah, they still got a lot of big playmakers out there. Colorado, man, especially now without Jake Retzlaff, I think has the upper hand against BYU, and I think Colorado going to be able to win that game. This road affair, though, against TCU, Buffalo secondary, have fun. I think TCU is going to be a high-flying passing offense, and you lost a ton of production out of the secondary room with, again, Shiloh Sanders. And then the other player I'd mentioned in Silman Craig there as well. TCU is going to be a team that's going to give a lot of secondaries fits. I think Colorado's going to be one of them. And overall, too, I think TCU's got a lot of guys on the defensive front that can give havoc to an offensive line that's still, I think, going to see their fair share of struggles this season. So you're 3-3 through the first half of the season. Hey, you just got to win 3 games in the back half, and there are 3 winnable games, and I think you do start off nicely, and you pull off an upset against the Iowa State Cyclones. Kind of like how you could have talked about Colorado last year if you were a skeptic coming into last season with Travis Hunter, with Shedeur Sanders, with a lot of the weapons that they had last year. There was too much talent on the team for them to not put everything together, at least for a couple games. I kind of feel the same way about this Colorado team, even though overall I think they are less talented, and that's not knocking the talent that's already on this team. It's just when you lose a guy like Shedeur, you lose a guy like Travis Hunter, guys that are going to be really, really tough to try and fill in for. This is an Iowa State team I think is vulnerable, and you could even chalk this up to the reality of the Big 12 Conference, which, I mean, yeah, you absolutely could, because, again, this is an Iowa State team I think is vulnerable. I think Colorado matches up well with them, and you see a lot of upsets in the Big 12 because it really is the wild, wild west of college football as far as conferences goes. I think Colorado pulls off this upset, man, and builds some momentum before the bye week. And, again, it is your first of 2 bye weeks this season. There is an extra weekend. Everyone does get 2 bye weeks in 2025. You take a look at this game right here on the road against the Utah Utes. This one here, I think, is going to be a really, really interesting game. Utah is now without Cam Rising. However, spoiler alert, Devin Dampier is a really, really good dual threat option. You could absolutely see the battle of 2 dual threat quarterbacks when you watch this game right here against Utah, because Devin Dampier lit it up at New Mexico, and Caden Salter obviously lit it up at Liberty. Now, Caden Salter's got to get back to playing to the level, and Devin Dampier can improve his pass game. Absolutely. This is the Utah defense that I think will steal the show here. There were a lot of things that went wrong for the Utes last year in what could potentially be Kyle Whittingham's final season. I do not see Utah having as poor of a year as they did a season ago. I think Utah bounces back nicely. Defense wins the line of scrimmage. They'll get home to the quarterback, and that's what helps them beat the Colorado Buffaloes. However, Colorado will secure their 5th win of the season against the Arizona Wildcats. I do overall think Arizona is a very underrated team coming in to 2025. I think a lot of people are writing them off and overlooking them. I think they did really well in the transfer portal. Ismail Mahdi was a star at Texas State. You got some really good wide receiver transfers coming in. Noah Fafita is still there to be your quarterback. He gets back to 2023 form. Woo, watch out for the Arizona Wildcats. Defense should get better, and I really like their head coach, Brent Brennan. I think he's the demander. I think he's a guy that gets the best out of his players. You saw that over at San Jose State. I really like the Wildcats this year, but again, this is one of those even matchup games that I think Colorado going to do what they need to do to be able to pull out and provide that win. Searching for a win in the final 4th of the season, I think it's going to be really hard. And I'll tell you guys right now, I think Colorado misses a bowl game this season. I think they lose all 3 of their remaining games. On the road against West Virginia, Rich Rod is going to be coming back into this program. I think it's going to take him a little bit of time to get the wins that we did see him have, and the expectations that West Virginia had during his first stint. However, I do think West Virginia already going to be a very, very competitive team with Nico Marchiol, Jaheim White, some really good wide receiver pieces, bunch of really talented defensive transfers. They're going to be able to win the battles against Colorado in this game. And then you're quite simply playing 2 of the better teams in the Big 12 Conference. This home game against Arizona State, they're probably the team I like the most out of the Big 12 Conference. Why? Well, they won the conference title last year. No reason they can't this year. Everyone comes back. Some really good defensive pieces, especially that safety duo. Offensively, Sam Levitt, Jordan Tyson. Yeah, you have to replace Scadaboo, but I think they got the pieces to do it. Arizona State's really talented, and so is Kansas State. The secondary should definitely improve from where it was last season. So should the defense as a whole. Avery Johnson should take that next step. Kansas State also a really talented bunch. This might be a little bit bold, and I honestly think it kind of is, because I think there are probably more scenarios where Colorado makes a bowl game than they don't. I got them missing a bowl game, and it's because the schedule is really, really tough. Again, you're playing a ton of the top teams in the Big 12. Even without Retzlaff, I think BYU is still going to be pretty competitive this year. You got a tough out-of-conference game. You got some really difficult road games here. Colorado, I think, is a team this season that overall is going to struggle, and the offensive line could be a big reason why. However, Coach Prime has proven me and a ton of other people wrong before. He can absolutely do it again in 2025. Please let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See you guys later on today with another prediction. Goodbye.